Where are Israel's lost tribes? Bible readers throughout the Christian centuries have pondered the fate of the 10 tribes of the house of Israel, called in the Bible Ephraim, who vanished into Assyrian exile in the 7th century BC. There is no shortage of modern ideas concerning their fate, but the real answer to this historic riddle lies hidden not far beneath the surface of ancient annals found in early Europe. These annals are the Norse sagas, which concern events dating back into prehistory, passed down by word of mouth and embellished with mythological elements over time. Yet it is not difficult to see the underlying course of events they describe, even though not written down until over a millennium later. The book, Ruling Races of Prehistoric Times, discusses the significance of the ancient sagas. These ancient accounts, quote, tell us of the earliest ages of civilization, unquote, and present to us the early life of the nations, quote, whose home was bounded by the Indian Ocean, the Caspian and Black Seas, the Mediterranean, and the Red Sea, unquote. We know this area today as the Middle East, an area identified by scholars as the early homeland of both the Israelites and the Celto-Saxon peoples, including the Norse. The Norse homeland was a city called Asgard, which was located within a region called by the sagas Midgard. Quote, the gods gave them Midgard for the home, unquote, says author Sigvart Sorensen in his book Norway, page 20. The suffix gard originally meant a region, city, or stronghold. It is found today in the word grad, meaning a city, as in Petrograd or Peter City. It is also the parent of our English word yard, meaning a fenced enclosure. A number of scholars recognize that this Norse word Midgard is a thinly veiled reference to the region of Media in the Mideast. For example, the book Etymons of English Words by John Thompson states that, quote, according to Gothic authors, Asgard in Media, the ancient capital of our forefathers, is called Atarkind or Azarkind by the Persians. Kind in the Persian name is the Gothic Gard, Russian Gorod, and enclosure, pages 7 and 8. Thompson also adds, quote, the Massagetae were so named from the Saxon word Mathus, the Medians, unquote, page 9. The Massagetae were one branch of the Getae or Goths, later known in Europe by other names such as Angles, Saxons, and Norse, and the name indicates their place of origin in Media. Historian Sharon Turner commented that the existence of hundreds of Medo-Persian words in the Saxon language was due to their former residence there, from his book History of the Anglo-Saxons. The word Norse means northern people because their final destination was Scandinavia in northern Europe. As such, it is a later designation for these people. Sir Francis Palgrave comments that the original homeland of the Norse was in, quote, Asgard, the chief city of the Asses beyond the Tanais, unquote, from Sir Francis Palgrave collected historical works. The Tanais was the ancient name of the River Don in southern Russia, located just north of the Caucasus Mountains. A straight line drawn from Scandinavia southeast beyond the Tanais and the Caucasus points directly to the homeland of the Norse in Midgard, the Mideast. Rasmus Anderson, in the book Teutonic Mythology, says that according to the Vafthrudnersmal Edda, an early Norse forefather named, quote, Njord was sent as a hostage to the gods to Asgard. He had to journey eastward, unquote, page 474. Underlying this ancient account seems to be a racial remembrance of their forefathers being taken captive into exile eastward into the Median area of Asgard. The Bible tells a similar story of God's people Israel being captive exiles also sent eastward into Media. And like the Norse saga, it is God who claims responsibility, as we see in Isaiah 10, verses 5 and 6. As we will see, the parallel Hebrew-Norse exile accounts in reality constitute the same event. Links between Israel and the early Norse are pervasive. According to 2 Kings chapter 17, the Israelites were sent into captive exile by God to the cities of the Medes. Media, the Norse Midgard. Anderson tells us that in the Lokasenna Edda, the Norse god Loki says to Njord, quote, "From here, Aegir's Hall located on the sea, you were sent out east as a hostage to the gods," unquote. Here we learn that Njord, as a representative of the Norse people themselves, had dwelled on the sea before his captive exile. The Israelites also dwelled on the sea in Canaan before being conquered and exiled. Anderson supposes that this sea, quote, known by the Teutons, was the North Sea, unquote. However, it is not the North Sea, but the Mediterranean Sea, from which an eastward journey would lead to both Midgard and Asgard in Media. The Bible's account of Israel's captivity and exile from Canaan to Media perfectly fits the underlying details given in the sagas. Anderson also says, quote, Asgard was located not far from the native home of the Vans, unquote. Who were they? The sagas simply refer to them as a race of gods. Historians know of no tribe in past ages called the Vans, but the name suggests a people who dwelled in the area of Lake Van in northern Medo-Persia, which indeed would have put them in proximity to the area of the exiled Israelites. They may actually have been another group of exiled Israelites themselves, because Halah, one of the places of exile, according to 2 Kings 17 verse 6, was located near Lake Van. And according to the sagas, the Vans later united with the people of Asgard. The word Asgard itself means the city of the people called Asis. The word Asis or Asen means the God-men, or more properly, the people of God, a distinctive term used by the Israelites in Judges 20 verse 2 and 2 Samuel 14 verse 13. Asgard, the city of the people of God, was ruled by 12 Diar or gods, according to Sir Francis Palgrave. A curious number, if not a reference to Israel's 12 dispersed tribes. Sir Francis Palgrave stated, quote, according to the Northmen, the institution of duodenary courts is coeval with their race, unquote, from page 108. The word duodenary again refers to the number 12. This is very significant because Semitic peoples such as the Hebrews used a sexagesimal numbering system based on multiples of the number 6. The Hebrew connection with the Norse or Goths is shown by Boyd Dawkins in his book Early Man in Britain, who states, quote, we can trace their westward progress over Europe from their eastern home, from the birthplace of the nations, Asgard. We can prove that they were composed of two distinct elements, the older or the non-Aryan Iberic and the later or Celtic, unquote, from page 4. Since the name Iberic means a descendant of the Hebrew patriarch Eber, Dawkins provides a basis for the Hebrew Semitic descent of a portion of the peoples of Western Europe. The Story of Celto-Saxon Israel by W.H. Bennett, available from links on this site, has an important chapter showing the Hebrew descent of the Iberic or Iberian peoples. John Thompson adds, quote, the Celtic language, including the Hellenic and Latin dialects, is supposed to have been general throughout Europe, and its affinity to Arabic, Hebrew, and Phoenician has been generally admitted. The Celtic Druids practiced their mysterious devotions in sacred groves, like the idolatrous Hebrews, unquote. The Celtic idolatry was itself an important mark of identification. Du Chaillu, in his book The Viking Age, Book 2, verse 44, reveals, quote, Odin was originally a Jotun, a powerful man, and it would appear from the mythological literature of the North that for some reason he wished to found a new religion, unquote. The house of Israel was banished from Canaan for this very reason. They had adopted pagan religious practices and were not obeying the commands of God. we read the prophet's denunciation of these Hebrew and Druidic rites in 2 Kings 17, verses 7 through 10. For a more complete survey of the connection between the religious rites of the Hebrews and Celts, see the article Celtic Mythology on the Ethic website at Israelite.info. Norse heroes provide additional evidence of a Hebrew identification. Quote, Helgi, the Holy One, in German Heilige, was the son of Halfdan, the half of Father Dan the Judge, unquote, from the book Ruling Races, page 96. The word Dan means judge in Hebrew, and Dan was the progenitor of one of Israel's 12 tribes. Settlers from the tribe of Dan later gave their name to the nation of Denmark, or Dansmark, as well as a number of rivers in Eastern Europe, such as the Don, Dniester, Dnieper, Dnipros, Eridanus, and the Danube. We also find that giants play a significant part in the Norse sagas, which may be a remembrance of one of the best-known Bible stories, David's victory over Goliath. Our English word Colossus is derived from the word Goliath, the Hebrew form of the name Goliath. The Norse sagas tell us that, quote, Asgard is a place where giants are refused admittance, unquote. Did these mythological giants receive life and inspiration from an early Bible story that we still treasure today? Ancient mythology is more than just fictional storytelling. It is a cultural remembrance of the remote past, as well as the travels and deeds of our ancestors. For more information on Israel's migrations, read the book The Story of Celto-Saxon Israel by W.H. Bennett, available from links on this website. Thanks for watching.